April 17th, 1975. The communist Khmer Rouge enters Phnom Penh to liberate their people from the encroaching conflict in Vietnam and American bombing campaigns. Led by peasant-born Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge evacuates people to the countryside in order to create a rural communist utopia, much like Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution in China. The Khmer Rouge closes the doors to the outside world, but after 4 years, the grim truth seeps out. In a country of only 7 million people, 1.5 million were murdered by their own leaders, their bodies piled in the mass graves of the killing fields. In the 9th century, Cambodia gave birth to a rich and powerful kingdom that grew to eventually cover most of Indochina. The ruins at Angkor Wat attest to a cultural and political mecca which reached its zenith in the 15th century. After nearly 100 years of colonization, the French granted Cambodia independence in 1954.
People, they are really very satisfied.
Prince Sihanouk abdicated his throne, formed a political party, and was elected chief of state.
Of our own destiny, we are quite...
When the U.S. military established itself in Vietnam, Sihanouk declared Cambodia's neutrality. But the two countries shared a long border, and inevitably, the conflict spilled over. In 1969, President Nixon authorized secret bombing raids into Cambodia to destroy North Vietnamese and Viet Cong sanctuaries and supplies. The bombing went on for 14 months and shattered the facade of Cambodian neutrality. Sihanouk was subsequently ousted in a coup led by the American-backed Prime Minister Lon Nol. American and South Vietnamese infantry moved into Cambodia. Their purpose, according to President Nixon, to protect American forces in Vietnam. Meeting with little resistance, they seized supplies and withdrew after 60 days. But the North Vietnamese were driven deep into the country's interior, where they helped organize the communist Cambodian rebels, the Khmer Rouge. To encourage recruitment, Prince Sihanouk returned from exile in China and allied himself with Pol Pot, the emerging rebel leader. Meanwhile, Nixon stepped up his secret bombing campaign. Terrified, homeless refugees fled, and the Khmer Rouge played on their terror. Claiming the U.S. intended to annihilate their country, the Khmer Rouge gradually won over peasant support. For 4 years, President Nixon had been bombing Cambodia without congressional approval. In 1973, the news leaks to Congress precipitated the first calls for Nixon's impeachment. By August of that year, Congress forced a halt to the bombing in Cambodia. Lon Nol and his anti-communist government were left to fend for themselves. The Khmer Rouge was determined to bring down Lon Nol, end foreign intervention in their land, and resurrect the glories of the ancient Khmer Empire. At the new year 1975, they began firing rockets into Phnom Penh, where 2 million refugees had fled to escape the American bombs. On April 12th, the last Americans were evacuated, and 1 week later, the Khmer Rouge overran Phnom Penh. In the aftermath of the Khmer Rouge regime, survivors have reported its horrors. Labor camps, starvation, ethnic cleansing, and indiscriminate murder. The terror of the Khmer Rouge reached into all corners of Cambodian society, leaving scars that have yet to heal. Following the 1979 Vietnamese liberation of Cambodia, thousands fled their homeland, fearful of another communist regime. About 150,000 Khmer refugees now live in America, survivors of one of the century's worst episodes of genocide.